I am excited to hang out with you guys today. I love each and every single one of you. I love this church. I love this community. I love you guys so much. In fact, I did something for you today, and you don't even know. Beyond, I think having a really cool word from the Lord, but there was a hornet that was flying around in here, and I killed it. So, enemy can't get you, here in church right now. So you're welcome. We're in this series called Wait, What? And I love it. I love it because when you open up the Bible, you are going to read things and you're going to say, wait, what? Also, when I was growing up in church, you weren't allowed to talk. You couldn't say anything. That was like the fastest way to go to hell. This is not like that. If you guys, we're doing this together. We're engaging. You guys can, you can give me some feedback, whatever. Be rowdy. It's fine. It's going to be fun. But we're in this wait what, and we're specifically looking at things that Jesus said where we go, wait what, which is even more difficult, right? There are people who go, well, I can reconcile maybe some of the things in the Bible with my own truth because Jesus didn't say it. But when Jesus says the thing, you're like, ugh. And you go, wait, what? I love it. Because when we read these things, it drives us to understand the heart and mind of God even more. And whatever drives us closer to Jesus is always, always a good thing. Our theme verse is found in John chapter 16, verse 12. It says, there is so much more I want to tell you, but you can't bear it now. So Jesus even knows. He created us. He's on earth. And think about his brain. And he's like, guys, I wish I could explain it to you. But I can't. So I'm going to use a parable, and I'm going to explain it. And then the disciples are like, can you explain the parable? They're like, oh, I can't make it any simpler for you guys. Wait, what? Have you ever had a miscue, a misread before, where you thought one thing was happening, but it was something completely different? Anybody? Are there any spouses out there? Parents? Yeah, right? I had one of these just the other day. We're teaching Amos. He's 4. And we've been teaching this for a while, but we're trying to teach him, about obedience, right? And we say, hey, we want you to obey the first time, right? So when you hear something, we want you to obey the first time, which is fun. I needed him in the kitchen for something. I forget what it was, but I said, Amos, come on over here. And nothing, right? Amos. Nothing. And I can hear him. He's just around the corner in the dining room. Amos! Something I learned as a millennial growing up from my boomer parents, which maybe is not the greatest thing to carry over into parenting because I have some PTSD from it, but it's effective, right? It's that it doesn't matter if there's a consequence or not. If you start counting down from any number, usually people will respond really, really fast, right? Just with the idea that if you get to 0, something is going to happen. And I started, and Amos knows this because we do it, right? So I start counting down 3, 2, feet come running around the corner. He's going so fast. He's like, Dada, what? And I said, dude, why didn't you come when I called you? He goes, I'm trying to save Eden Grace, who's my 1.5-year-old. I got a picture of all of us up here on the screen. So Amos is down below. He's 4. That's Eden Grace. My wife, Rebecca. She's amazing. And then there's the other guy. So I'm trying to save Eden Grace. I was like, what do you mean you're trying to save Eden Grace? She's on the table right now, and I'm trying to keep her from falling off. And so I come around the corner, and sure enough, there's my 1.5-year-old daughter, and she's dancing on the table, and she had climbed up on the bench and then climbed up on the table, and Amos was trying to get her down. So that's why he wasn't listening, right? It's definitely my fault because I think country music was playing at the time, and so she just got into the spirit of the whole deal and just trying to get up and dance, but I misread a situation. Amos wasn't listening. And if we had stopped there, that piece is true, right? I called for him and he did not come. But the greater context of what was going on showed that there was a extenuating circumstance, a thing where he goes, it's probably more important for me to try and keep my little sister from falling off the table. And so I had to talk to him and I said, buddy, I'm so sorry. I apologize. if your sister is ever in danger, you have every right to try and protect her, right? But I misread it. Misread. And that happens in the Bible all the time. We take things and we go, okay, this is weird. I don't like this, but I'm just going to take it for this thing. And we don't look at the broader context of what's going on, and we lose out what God really is trying to tell us. And so today we're going to look at some verses, and we're going to look at some context around it, and we're going to see what Jesus is really trying to tell us. You see, it's mid-year, right? It's July. It's mid-decade. It's the roaring 20s. If you guys look, if you like history and you look at the parallels between the 1920s and the 2020s, it's kind of crazy, right? In 1920s, they just came out of an epidemic, the Spanish flu. They had wars, World War I, right, going on. Got out of that, and all of a sudden, the invention of like the Model T and all these things, they go into this big economic upturn, and everyone's like, yeah! The rich got richer, everyone else. It's like, no, hey. So what does Jesus have for you now that it's mid-decade? Are you where you want to be at with Jesus? Or maybe is the decade just passing you by? I want you to leave here encouraged, closer to Jesus than when you walked in, knowing that he's here to help us battle to win, to break habits in our life that are holding us down, to mend relationships in our world that need mending, because we know that with Jesus, things happen. So if you have your Bibles or your phones in the Bible app, you can open it up to Matthew chapter 10, verse 34, all right? So this is the words of Jesus. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. It's a great way to start. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, maybe didn't need Jesus' help, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. Anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Wait, what? Come on, this is like, whoa. What is Jesus talking about here? When the angels came and they're announcing Christ, they said, peace on earth, right? Jesus is described as the Prince of Peace. We love thinking about that Jesus. You know, holding the lamb over his shoulders. So nice. Children coming and playing on his lap. It's wonderful. You know, sandals and smiles, white Jesus. This is amazing. But a skeptic could look at the world and go, not a whole lot of peace going on right now. I don't know about this peace. That's one of the things that we're going to look at. What is this peace versus Jesus going, I didn't actually come to bring peace. And what is the sword that he's talking about? Who here likes peace? Like you go, yeah, peace is good. Yeah? I'm an external order for internal peace kind of guy, right? You know, my mom's like that. Although I have a threshold. I'm not like a total weirdo where it's like, you know, Maria Kondo, you know, kind of thing. Like, that's nice. I appreciate that. Something, again, not to call him out, but George, he organized the basement, and oh my goodness, it is one of the closest things to heaven you'll ever see in your entire life. You go in there and you're just like, this is amazing. This is amazing. I love it. And there are other people, like my dad. And if there's too much peace like that, it's like, ooh, this is kind of freaking me out a little bit. what can we break? What can we mess up? How do we like change this up? I don't, it's just like, God introduced a little bit of chaos. And God loves them too. Because there's another couple images of Jesus. John chapter 2, he goes into the temple, and you have this description of him, and he goes in and he starts flipping over tables. He's calling people out. He's looking at them and going, you have turned my Father's house into a den of thieves. He makes a whip, right? And he starts whipping people, getting them out. It's like, get out of here. It's not very peaceful. And you kind of think about it, there are people there, doing the wrong thing, but they're just kind of doing it, going about their life, and all of a sudden there's this guy whipping them. They're like, ow! Goes into the boardroom, the company, everyone's there, the CEO, all the vice presidents. They're discussing, talking about this Jesus guy. He walks in. Can you imagine walking into like something like that? And you look at all of them and you go, you guys are a brood of vipers and whitewashed tombs. They're like, you're fired. Doesn't sound very peaceful. How about this? John on the island of Patmos, exiled by himself, gets a vision from God. This is what he says. I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse, whose rider is called Faithful and True. With justice, he judges and wages war. His eyes are like blazing fire, and on his head are many crowns. He is dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is the Word of God. Coming out of his mouth is a sharp sword with which to strike down the nations. On his robe and on his thigh, he has this name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I want to be on that guy's team, right? So what's going on here? How do we reconcile this? How do we look at this and go, wow? Context is everything. This isn't about literal violence, what Jesus is talking about. He isn't recruiting warriors for war. He's already won. And he's saying, hey, I'm going to do the work. See, the sword is coming out of my mouth, not your guys' mouth. But it is a warning that following him will divide loyalties. You see, not everyone will respond. We know this. The religious leaders, the ones who are supposed to be closest to this thing, the ones that would have known and been able to see the signs and go, hey, it's kind of weird that this guy's fulfilling all these prophecies. Maybe he might just be who he says he is. And they're like, no. If those people can not be swayed, think about it. There are people in this world who will hear the truth and they will deny it, ignore it, and it will cause division. So we're here to set the record straight on peace and what these things mean. You see, point number 1 in your notes is Jesus came to divide before he unites. He talks about this, sheep from the goats, right? Wheat from the chaff. They're all going to be together, but at some point, they're going to be divided. A sword divides, right? Truth divides. Allegiance divides. We just celebrated the 4th of July. USA, right? Number 1. Everyone else, not us. We're the best. You're not. Allegiance. Right now, the entire country is aligned to Cal Raleigh. They're not Mariners fans, but they are fans of hitting, 39, maybe 40 home runs, right? He's DHing today, so chances are low because he doesn't do a good job when he does that for some reason. God's truth versus man's truth divides. See, following Jesus costs something. It costs relationships. You might have experienced this before. I was seeing this thing online. And my wife, she's so amazing. She doesn't trust anything that happens online. Not one thing. Now with AI and what it can do, she's like, it's all fake. Every single thing, unless she knows the person and can like verify through text or something that thing happened, it's fake. It did not happen. So the story I'm about to tell you, I saw online, and it very well could be fake. But it works for what we're talking about, and I think there's probably instances where something like this has probably happened. This guy was texting his friend because he started dating this person, and she didn't like what the friend was posting on Twitter. And so she said, hey, can you tell your friend to stop posting that stuff on Twitter? I don't like it. And so he texts his friend, and he says, hey, can you stop posting those things on Twitter? I'm dating this girl, and I just want peace, okay? I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to rock the boat. And she doesn't like what you're saying. It's triggering to her, and so just, stop posting it. And the friend's like, dude, what are you talking about? We've been friends for like 8 years. He goes, yeah, I know, but I just don't like it, and it's causing strife and all these things, and so I'm telling you, stop posting about it. And so the one friend says, okay, when you guys break up, text me because I'll still be your friend, but until then, let's just not talk to each other. Right? Relationship break. This happens with Jesus too. Maybe something happens in our life where all of a sudden we get connected to Jesus, and things that we used to do, we don't do anymore, even with people that we used to do it with, right? Hey, how come you don't go to the strip club with us anymore on Friday nights? Jesus got a hold of my life, and I just don't think that's something I ought to be doing. What? Are you serious? Whatever. Maybe it'll cost approval. All of a sudden, people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You see, when we're filled up with Jesus, we bring the light of life into the world where there's darkness, right? We expose things, not by beating people over the head with stuff saying, hey, what you're doing is wrong. It's just by our very presence and how we're living, all of a sudden things get exposed. And people who are in darkness, they don't want stuff exposed. So they go, whoa, 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 whoa. I just don't like that person anymore. Well, why? I don't know. They make me feel bad. And how I feel is the most important thing in the world. Following Jesus costs comfort. How many of you know that obedience is not convenient? Obedience costs something. There are things in the Bible, things that Jesus said that, hey, if you're going to follow me, you have to do these things. And there's a cost. Not because I want something less for you, but because we're looking into areas of your life to see what's truly important. Wait, what? I thought Jesus came to make life easier. No. He came to make us new. Luke 12:51. Do not think I have come to bring peace on earth. No, but division. If our new life looks like our old life or the world's life, then maybe we don't really have a new life just yet. You can see this with youth sometimes. Jesus will get a hold of this young person's life, and they'll go home and they'll come back and they'll be just distraught, and they'll go, my family doesn't get it. I don't know what to do. Yeah. You just love them. Love them. But that's that division that Jesus is talking about. Number 2, Jesus offers a better peace. You see, the world's peace is comfort and avoidance at any cost. hey, you need to sacrifice, do whatever you can to get this peace. You see, I believe that the enemy has used this to twist what God actually wants to get us to go after the promises of God versus actually following Jesus. We look at what the promises are, we say, hey, Jesus says I ought to have this, so I'm going to actually chase that thing instead of actually chasing Jesus. And if the enemy can get us off of Jesus and onto the promises, well then he's got us right where he wants us. Out of action, out of commission. And so we think we're chasing a good thing, but we're not actually chasing Jesus. You see, Jesus' peace is wholeness in God, even when there's conflict all around you. My dad was up here talking earlier about people in Texas, right? Is their life good right now? Is there peace? No, but they have wholeness in God. Paul demonstrated this. It's amazing. This guy is going out, he's planting churches. And when he would go places, he'd get people throw rocks at him, he'd get stoned, he'd have no food, he would go to prison, people would reject him, he would start these churches and then other people would come by later and they would mess it all up. You know, when you read Paul's letters, it's never a letter that says, you guys are amazing. Oh, wow, it's so good. It's like, hey, greetings from prison. And I'm writing to you because you guys have messed up. You're off. And here he is in prison again, probably thinking about all this stuff, going, oh my goodness. But that's not what he was focused on. Instead, he was singing praises to God because his wholeness came from being connected to Jesus. But if you asked him, he probably wouldn't go, yeah, I'm so excited to be in prison right now. This is great. Go, no, I'd rather not be here. Rather not be here. So if we've bought into the lie that life with Jesus is easy, the enemy is winning. Jesus even said, in this world you will have trouble. It's like plain as day, it's red. But take heart, I have overcome the world. That doesn't mean you're not going to experience trouble. It means that one day, it's all going to be overcome. Jesus offers a better peace. But to get it, we have to chase after something. We have to look at things. We have to see that Jesus is the peace, not the world's peace. See, Jesus didn't come to ignore problems. Jesus is the hero who sets us free. And we might think that our life is really good. We might think that the things that are going on are just the way that it's supposed to be. But sometimes you need an outside influence to come in and bring something in and go expose things and go, that's actually wrong. In Ramadi, Iraq in 2006, it was the most terrorist-controlled city in the whole country of Iraq. Coalition forces, they would try to go in and make inroads and save the people in there. There was murder, rape, child sex trafficking, slavery, all sorts of terrible things that were going on. They saw this and they went, this is wrong. And they would try to teach the people about it. They would try to get them to say, hey, you can stand up to this. This is not the way people are supposed to live. And they go, no, no, no. This is life. They wouldn't do anything. So they had to build this big base on the outside of the city because they couldn't even get in. And you know what their strategy was? They had to go in and they had to get rid of as many bad guys as they can, go as far as they could into the city. Sometimes it was like 2 or 3 blocks. And they would put a bunch of soldiers there, and they would build another base. And they would just stay there. And they would have to endure all the fighting, all the stuff. And they did that. Sometimes block by block, area by area, until they had moved through the entire city, and people all of a sudden started to see, oh, there's a different way to live. But that peace didn't come from just ignoring problems. That peace didn't just happen. It had to be confronted. The evil had to be confronted and dealt with. It's like, if you see a house, it looks really good. My house in downtown Snoqualmie was like this. My dad helped me fix it because we were looking at it. It's like, it looks really nice and good paint, cool house. But if you got too close and you went up to the siding and you kind of like did this with your hand, it just started to like rot away. And this was on two sides of it. And you're like, oh, that's probably not good. And we had to deal with it. And it took work. And it was hard. But we did. And the house was, hey, great. Number 3, following Jesus requires radical allegiance. See, Jesus demands the number 1 spot in every place of your heart. We talked about, hey, he should be number 1, right? Yeah, he should be. He should also be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however many spots you have. If Jesus isn't in every single spot and you just relegated him to the top, you've actually put Jesus into a corner. And you said, hey, Jesus, you can have the number 1 spot in my life, but the rest of my life I'm keeping for myself. That's not radical allegiance. You guys ever thought about this? Believing in the resurrection doesn't actually save you. Lucifer believes in the resurrection. Doesn't save him. Those sons of Sceva, they're going and they say, hey, we cast you out in the name of Jesus who Paul preaches. And the demons talk back and they go, yeah, Jesus we know. And Paul we've heard of, but we don't know you. And then the demons beat up the 7 sons, right? The demonic powers of the world believe in the resurrection. They know it's true. It does not save them. Radical allegiance to Jesus. That's what he's calling for. If anything comes before him or he isn't in, maybe it's success, maybe it's family, maybe it's comfort, marriage, it's gonna be tested. And it ought to be tested. Not because it's like, ooh, we want to make you feel bad, or Jesus is trying to put you down. He's saying, I love you so much that I want into this closet with all the padlocks and the biometric scanner and all this stuff that, hey, 95% of you is all in, but this 5% over here, we got to deal with this. No, Jesus, that's mine. You don't want to go in there. It's like, yes, because I love you. Again, in Revelation, John is talking about, Jesus says, you're either all in or I spit you out of my mouth, right? It's 100% or nothing. My dad has this amazing story. When we were first here at Church on the Ridge, this woman and her kids, they started coming to church and they just, God transformed their life and it was amazing. It was one of those things like with the family where it divides, right? So the husband invites my dad out to go golfing with these other guys, and he's out there and he's golfing with them, and finally the husband comes up to him, and it's so funny because his name's JC, and so, like Jesus Christ, right? JC comes up to him and he goes, okay, pastor, what kind of church are you? You one of those 10% churches? And he pulls out his checkbook. I just want to write the check right now so that I don't have to hear it from my wife anymore. My dad looks at him and he goes, no, we're not a 10% church. Because if you're outside the church, or maybe you're even inside, all you think the church wants is your money. So he's ready to write the money, because we're not a 10% church, we're a 100% church. And the guy drops his checkbook. It's like, I knew it, my wife, on off the deep end. My dad had an opportunity to talk to this guy. And he said, what is this 100% church all about? So he started to attend, started to come. And Jesus got a hold of his life and transformed his life. And so it changed from write this check and get out of my face to, God, I want you to have every single part of me. My finances, my family, my marriage, all of it. Every single piece. And you watch and you're a different person. Radical allegiance changed that family. And it's amazing. See, the sword cuts away idols so that we can be whole. Israel had the temple, but then they also had the high places. Matter of convenience. Well, I don't, it's a long ways to travel. Yeah, I'll just go over here. And then while we're there, we don't really believe in the God of the hills over here, but just in case the Palestinians are right, let's sacrifice something to him too. Just in case. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Picking up a cross and following Jesus takes work. It's hard. It requires effort, takes sacrifice, takes obedience. A ton of people heard this, and guess what? They stopped following him. They're like, no. I'd rather choose convenience over obedience. Because people don't just stop loving idols. We don't. There's a reason why we love them. But you see, when we let Jesus into every area of our life, we start to get to know him better. We start to see how he transforms and changes those things. And all of a sudden, we start to love Jesus more than we love the idols. And the love of the idols is replaced by a love for Christ. It's not that we love them less, it gets replaced by something better as he reveals himself to us. So the closer we get to Jesus, the better our life becomes. But if there's things in our life that are keeping us from him, then we can only get so close. When he taught us to pray, what did he say? Our Father who is in heaven, great is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Not our kingdom, right? Not our kingdom, God's kingdom. So what? What does this mean for us? Well, we need to examine our allegiances. What's competing with Jesus in our heart? When we read these things, we go, wait, what? What is he really saying? He's saying, hey, where in your life maybe am I not in? Number 2, we need to embrace the cost. True peace sometimes requires temporary conflict. When I say embrace the cost, I'm not talking about like a tithing thing, right? I'm saying there's a cost in all areas of our life. Obedience over convenience. There is a cost. But if there's something that we're unwilling to do or unwilling to be obedient in or unwilling to see through, it's usually really indicative of an idol maybe in our life or an area that we haven't fully quite surrendered over to Jesus. There's that prayer in the Psalms where he says, search me, O God, and find within me anything that is not of you, right? Powerful prayer. I encourage you all to pray it because I believe whether you mean it or not, God's going to reveal it. So if you do, and you're like, well, I don't really mean it, get ready because I think God's going to say something even though. Because the light pushes back the darkness. And when we invite the light in, we go, hey. And this isn't a thing where guys, it's all of us. We're on this side of eternity, right? Which means that the potter is still doing things. As a pastor, God is revealing things to me in my life that he says, guess what, Stephen? We need to work on this. You know what's cool? God is the judge, right? When he was on the cross, there was that thief. No prayer, no baptism. But he said, you're not supposed to be here. I am. And Jesus judged him, hey, today you're going to be with me in paradise. So a willing heart, wanting to get as close to Jesus as possible, I think is what Jesus is really looking for, not perfection in our own minds. And number 3, stand firm in love. Don't wield the sword. Let Jesus wield it in your life. You don't need to go up to someone and be like, hey, now that I'm with Jesus, I want to tell you all the things that you're doing wrong in your life, right? That always goes over well. But live your life according to what Jesus says, and you watch, because the light of life that is in you will then start to expose things in the people around you. And they will either do two things usually: go, I want to be like you, or I want to get away from you. And you can pray for them and say, God, let as many want to be like me as possible. Give me opportunity to bring light into the darkness in every single place that I go. Jesus didn't come to make life easy. He came to make you alive. Are you willing to follow him even when it divides? It requires sacrifice. And peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of Christ. Paul says this in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 14, for he himself is our peace. And that peace of Jesus being with us, that promise, is the thing that we really want to go after. Let's pray. God, thank you that you love us and that you know us, that you created us and that we have been designed and created that we can have relationship with you. God, that you mended a thing that had been broken from the beginning and said we are worth it. God, I pray that we would have the courage to confront idols in our life, that we would read the Bible and things that make us go, wait, what? Would make us press into you and want to get to know you even more. God, that we would not be afraid of the light, but we would run to the light, that we would bring the light into dark places of the world and see what you do. God, I pray that your presence in our life would be our peace. In your mighty name, amen.